The idea of a soundbar has always been appealing to me. A single cable solution with a neatly packaged box that can immerse you while you're watching or playing your favorite content. In reality, I've never heard a soundbar that came close to a 2-channel system, let alone surround sound setup, so I've been kind of dismissive and made fun of the entire category. Then came a secret invitation to something new in England early last year. KEF invited us down to Maidstone, England back in April of 2025 for a first look at something they were developing. We literally had no idea what we were going to be seeing or filming until the day we arrived at their engineering facility. The technology we were introduced to was VECO, and the first product that would take advantage of it, the KEF XIO Soundbar. The XIO Soundbar has a total of 12 speakers, each of which have their own Class D amplifier, to pump out 820 watts of power at a maximum SPL of 102 decibels. The mid and high frequencies are handled by a combination of 6 50mm UniQ MX drivers and 2 50mm full range drivers, while low frequencies are made up of 4 50 by 180mm P185 racetrack drivers that are supported by that VECO technology. VECO is KEF's velocity control technology that uses a uniquely engineered coil sensor to detect a driver's coil velocity and make real-time corrections. The benefit is reduced distortion while still providing tight, clean, low frequencies, even with smaller drivers. For a more in-depth look, you could watch our Insight video explaining VECO and also listen to our Audiophile podcast with Jack Oakley Brown, where he takes a deep dive into the tech. The links are going to be below in the description. After hearing the XIO in KEF's listening room, I was more than impressed with what was in front of me, and when the opportunity came up for me to take one home to try out for a couple months, I jumped at the opportunity. When the package arrived at my home, I was a bit shocked at the size. It definitely seemed larger than I remembered it in the listening room back in England. As I unpacked it, I was relieved that my memory wasn't totally failing me, and KEF just packed the XIO in a way to avoid any damage in transportation. It's still a very respectable 120 centimeters long by 16.5 centimeters deep and 7 centimeters in thickness. Aside from the soundbar, the box also includes a wall template and hardware to wall mount the XIO, instructions, which I quickly set aside, an HDMI cable, a 2-prong power lead, and a remote control. Going over to the back of the XIO, you're presented with a physical power switch, a toggle to turn on or off the IPT technology, more on that one later, a USB-C port for servicing, HDMI eARC port, Ethernet jack, Toslink optical connector, and a sub output. There's also a couple physical buttons for Bluetooth pairing and resetting. On the top or front of the XIO, there are recessed capacitive touch buttons to power on the XIO, select audio source, and control volume. There's also a series of LED lights to help guide you as you go between those different selections. The XIO supports a ton of different music services, and I'm going to put those on the screen right now, and you could pause and make sure the ones that you're interested in are included. I'm also going to put on the screen the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi specs, so you can also make sure anything that you're interested in is covered when looking at the XIO. Before jumping into the setup, let's lay out the pricing. The XIO is available for $24.99 USD, $29.99 Canadian, $22.99 in euros, and 1,999 British pounds. It is available in 2 color options, silver gray and slate black. For this review, I went with the silver gray as I thought it would look good in the space. The setup is as easy as you'd expect. Once you decided on a placement, either being on a TV stand or wall mounted, you plug the XIO into power, you connect an HDMI cable between the port on the XIO and an ARC or eARC supported port on your TV, and from there you can download and open up the KEF Connect app on your smartphone. In my case, I decided to place the XIO on my TV stand and I used my iPhone to get things set up. Opening up the KEF Connect app walks you through the rest of the setup process. This is where KEF's intelligent placement technology, IPT, the one that I mentioned earlier, goes to work using a series of different sound measurements to apply an EQ profile for the space. After naming that setup profile, I was presented with some basic options. There's a sound profile section where you could choose different sound profiles based on the content or time that you're watching the content. And then there's some placement confirmations where you can tweak where your XIO is placed in your space to get the best sound. There is a more advanced expert mode setting, and to get to that, you click on the ellipses and start the whole process over again. This does give further tweakability to adjust stuff like treble trim, bass extension, and fine-tuning of a subwoofer output. Not a whole lot more control, but it did say expert mode, which made me feel all warm and fuzzy. For the rest of my time with the XIO, I kept the sound profile in movies or music, depending on which I was listening to, and I didn't fuss with any of the other settings. With the calibration done, I went straight to my Apple TV and opened up the Disney Plus app to put on an old favorite, Master and Commander: The Far Side of the World. This 2003 adventure drama about a British Navy captain during the Napoleonic Wars may seem like an odd choice, but within the first 15 minutes of the film, you'll be met with incredible dynamics and range that are great for testing your sound system. It's absolutely phenomenal and well worth checking out. Anyways, the KEF XIO performed admirably, handling the high shrieks of the battles and varying dialogue and providing powerful rumbling lows that fully immersed me in the different scenes and once again reminded me of why I love this movie so much. The projection of sound all around me was something that I don't get to experience with my 2.1 channel system, and the subtle hints of stuff behind me, in front of me, further away, all while the main action is taking place is really impressive. Now, to be fair, this is not a Dolby Atmos mix movie. It's only a 5.1 channel mix. And home theater enthusiasts will tell you that the Disney Plus version of this film has had its bass neutered compared to the Blu-ray disc. Still very worthwhile checking out, but just a fair warning. For a true Dolby Atmos mix, I ended up listening to a suggestion and going with Ready Player One. Now, this is almost a cliche at this point because every time Dolby Atmos gets brought up, this movie, Ready Player One, is bound to come up in the conversation. If you've seen this movie, you know it is sound design galore. It is awesome. What ends up happening when you have something like Dolby Atmos and the XIO Soundbar is not only are you getting all of those kind of surrounding sounds, but then you get these extra elements that buzz past you and kind of make you feel like something is not just almost behind you or right in front of you, but also kind of above you. It's a really cool experience and well worth checking out. When it comes to music and an Atmos mix tune, I put on the Point album by Yellow. I've heard this album was a treat for multi-speaker setups and just wow. The highs were crisp and detailed, the mids had a great natural range, and the bass was deep and powerful with complete ease. Putting on a more traditional stereo mix for a fair comparison between the XIO and my PSB Alpha IQ 2-channel setup that the XIO replaced, I went with one of my favorite tracks. And this one is one that I actually recommended while reviewing those Alpha IQs. Sex to Me by Charlotte Cardin. Between the two setups, the XIO was easily able to deliver even more clean, punchy bass while also handling the vocals beautifully. For the mids and high frequencies, I didn't have a clear preference between the two different setups. Both performed great and really highlighted the beautiful vocals of this track. Now, I found the SoundStage on the XIO wasn't quite as wide, nor the imaging quite as magical as the PSB Alpha IQ speakers that are typically connected to my TV. After spending almost 2 months with the XIO Soundbar, there is a lot that I love. There is also, as always, a few things that I think they can improve on. For my setup, an HDMI pass-through would be a major benefit and something that the XIO is missing. My LG TV only offers 3 HDMI ports in total, and after the XIO takes command of one of the eARC ports, I'm left with 2 sources to choose from. The answer could be an HDMI switch or receiver, though in my mind, the whole point of a soundbar is to have less boxes in and around my TV. KEF may have had the inkling that most folks would stuff any remote they include with the XIO into a drawer and use their preferred CEC-enabled controller or phone to get the job done. Even so, I felt the included KEF C2 remote was an area that they cut costs on, and it didn't really reflect the premium nature of the XIO soundbar. I did in fact take it, put it in the drawer, and use my Apple TV remote to control volume and my phone to adjust settings that I needed to tweak. My final nitpick is actually regarding the KEF Connect app. After coming from reviewing the DeviLA Phantom 98dBs and spending time with the DeviLA app, I found the KEF sound profile selector and adjustability to be much more basic. I wish the KEF app provided me more visuals to show what the different profiles were doing and offered the ability to tweak the profiles from there. There is no doubt in my mind that the KEF XIO provides a better movie, TV, and video game experience than my 2.1 channel setup that got put away for this review. The high quality audio and more immersive surround sound and spatial audio features are just things that you can't get in a traditional 2.1 channel system. The bonus of getting to put away my speaker stands, additional cables, and losing the large sub makes my room feel more opened and less cluttered. When it comes to listening to audio, the XIO does a very respectable job. It has all the hallmarks of a great hi-fi system. Fantastic mid-range that gives you natural reproduction of vocals, a bass that you have to hear to believe with this VECO technology. That's phenomenal. And highs that have a smooth, natural roll-off. If you're looking at ways to up the audio quality in your TV setup while still catering to your love of hi-fi, the XIO is an excellent choice. The XIO mixes KEF's audiophile heritage with cutting-edge technologies like VECO to deliver a great experience whether you're watching movies or TV, or sitting back and just listening to your music. From the design to the sound quality, especially that incredibly impressive bass, the XIO offer is quite compelling, and I can easily recommend adding it to your list of considerations. Do you consider yourself an audiophile? And if so, would a soundbar ever be a contender for your TV sound system? Let me know in the comments below.